Mike, 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 Mike. Mike.
As a kid growing up, my best friend was a guy by the name of Mike Waddell. Mike and I were inseparable. We went to the same school, we went to the same Sunday school, we played for the same baseball team, we even lived on the same street. In fact, we lived in the same town, in the same street, because we both lived in Heathmont. But the thing that we mostly had in common was that we were always getting into trouble. Mike was probably worse than I was. Sometimes you knew what Mike was going to do that was naughty, and other times you weren't quite sure what he was going to do and he might surprise you. But as we grew up, nothing changed actually. Mike was in a band of mine. We were in a Christian band called Joint Airs, and we used to do some comedy along with the music as well. But the thing with Mike was, sometimes he wouldn't tell us about the comedy that was going to happen on that particular night. We just have to wait and see what happened. A lot of the time it was organised. For example, I remember one night he decided that he was going to give out one of our cassettes. Yes, a cassette, not a CD, not even a link to something, but a cassette. So he pulls a cassette out of his pocket and he goes, "Hey, who'd like one of our cassettes?" And everyone's going, me, throw it to me, throw it to me, throw it to me. And so he throws it over here and this girl grabs it and she's all really, really happy until he pulls out the actual cassette part and says, "Who'd like the actual cassette part with the music on it?" And everybody goes, me. So he throws it over to somebody else. He says, "Oh, you guys can sort it out a little bit later on." So he did that sort of stuff. That was organised. But one night I was standing on the stage here and he walked up to me and he said, "John, I've got a confession to make." I said, "What's that, Mike?" And he goes, "Well, when I was a little kid, I was brought up by wolves in a forest." I said, "You were brought up by wolves in a forest, Mike?" And he goes, yeah, I can prove it." I said, "How can you prove it?" And he goes, "Well, I'll need somebody to help me." So he points to this young girl and gets her to come up on the stage and he says, "You know what? Still sometimes you can feel the wolf hair on the back of my neck." And he says to her, you feel it." So the girl puts her hand up and he goes, "Ah!" But Mike's piece de resistance when it came to that sort of stuff came right here, Belgrave Heights, happening around the early 90s it would have been, I suppose. And we were playing on a Saturday night and there were people hanging outside that way, crowded in here, even sitting on the floor in the aisles here. And the idea to get this thing started was that they played this bit of music called 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is a very famous bit of music back in that time, great bit of music actually. And while that was going on, the mirror ball was spinning around and lights were flashing through the place. And our band, half of us were over that side of the stage, up on some steps out of sight, and the other half of us were over that side on steps out of sight. And during this playing, we were getting all ready to go out, plug all our things in, and the idea of this first song is that Mike would play the first 8 beats and away we go. Suddenly, I turn around and I look over the other side as well and I go, "Where's Mike?" I said, "Where's Mike?" And Robbie goes, I don't know, mate." And I look over the other side and go, "Where's Mike? Can you see Mike?" And Cindy and Grant look around and they can't see him either. I'm thinking, we've probably only got about a minute and a half. So I race out the back and down to the toilets, hoping that he's down there. I can't find him anywhere. I come across and I go across to them again. "Have you found him?" I go, "We don't know where he is." So the end of this bit of music finishes and the kids are screaming. It's crazy. So we run out and there's no Mike. And I just said to Grant, I whispered to him, I said, "Just keep plugging stuff in as if we're not quite ready yet." So he's plugging stuff in and the kids are screaming and Cindy's getting ready. She's picking up her mic and Rob's plugging his guitar in and still nothing. And then it got to the point where it had been going for a while and now the crowd had quietened down and it started to get awkward. Suddenly there's this voice from the second row, "Boo, get off!" It's Mike, sitting in the audience. And so I calmly went to the microphone and said, "Hey, Mike, we're meant to be on now." And he goes, "Oh, are we? Oh, excuse me." So he gets up, goes along through the audience and then out onto the stage, plays the 8 bars and away we go. With Mike, you never knew what was going to happen.
I'm coming! Boo! Get off! Boo!
You're a bit late, mate. Like about 30 years too late.